Hey y'all! Well, today we're going to try to catch up on some YouTube content and do the long-awaited beginner's guide to DACs, or digital to analog converters. And I am absolutely a beginner. So I'm not going to go deep into like all these different file types and what you could possibly download and store on a hard drive or a thumb drive that might be super high resolution and all that kind of stuff. I'm talking about streaming stuff off the internet with a easy to access music streaming platform and just using basic devices that you may already have or that could connect to stuff that you have and that sort of thing. So this is not some deep dive into what's the absolute best solution for critical listening to digital music. This is for folks like me that are looking for an easy solution to stream decent to good quality music into their house to just listen to. And I know this is going to be controversial. The video I did about this got people all riled up, but I still use my vinyl with my EAR 834 clone preamp for like critical listening when I'm just going to lay down and close my eyes and listen to music. And I'm not saying that this is like only for background kind of music or low volume stuff, but that's more what I'm using it for. So take this review with a grain of salt. I'm going to go through several devices that I listened to over some time and just kind of give you my subjective opinions of them. I didn't do any objective testing on the audio analyzer suite or with the room analyzer, doing any of that kind of stuff. This is just what they sound like to me, kind of where I think we are today with digital streaming. So here was a playback device. It's a 300B with ISO Tango output transformers. This is one of my main amps that I listen to. I've got a build series on this amp on my website and in videos that I'll link below. Really good sounding amp, and I know what it sounds like is more the point. That, yeah, this with vinyl or my CD player, I know exactly what it sounds like. And so, enter the contestants. This is one that I've had for a while. It's a little Topping E30. It was a fairly well reviewed little box when I bought it. It's probably been a couple of years ago. And I'm not honestly sure if they still sell it or not, but I'll put up here if they do. Anyway, been using this in my downstairs system hooked up to my little 6BM8 amp for just listening to background music when I'm downstairs. And I actually like this lo-fi YouTube channel, which some of y'all will probably laugh. It's like, why are you listening to lo-fi on a hi-fi? But it's very relaxing, this little hip beats music that just, it's really nice just to have playing when I'm building amps or working in the workshop, and I can just stream it and don't have to worry about it, and it's not distracting like some playlist might be. So anyway, Topping E30. Next thing, somebody sent me a link and an email about this little Dragonfly Red, and it's mainly designed as a headphone device to hook up to your cell phone or hook up to your computer, and then got a little headphone jack in it. Well, I got a little mini to RCA, and it's got enough voltage to drive an amp without any problem. So this is kind of the, I don't even know if they'd say the state of the art. I mean, there's a black and a red and a blue. The blue is supposed to be the higher end one, but the red one gets better reviews. And so bought one of these little guys to throw in the mix. Normally the reviews I see online are just comparing all of these against each other, these little mini ones, and I thought I'd see what it sounds like compared to these bigger guys. So this little guy's being tossed into the mix. So next is the Bluesound Node. This one's been out for a while. It's got a very mature app that your phone controls this thing. It's got some controls on this little touch screen on the top of it, but in my opinion, these controls on the box are pretty useless. you're basically just using it as the box and using the phone app to control it. I mean, there are some things you can control on the top of it, but I'm not sure if anybody actually does that. And if you're looking for a box that you control the streaming on the box itself, this is not a unit that you want to use. So anyway, like I said, I use an Android phone. The phone app seems like it works well to me. I wish that Amazon streaming was better integrated into the app that's controlled this. While you can access your Amazon Music, it's through some other API. And I read on some forum posts about Amazon. Whatever. I'm, not going to go deep dive into that, but it works well and it does what I need it to do. Is it perfect? No. I'm not sure anything is at this point as far as the interface between like the phone, the streaming service, and the box. I'll admit that I didn't try Tidal or Spotify or any of these other streaming services because I was kind of limiting it to what I've been using, which is Amazon Music Premium, which gives you the HD and the Ultra HD content from reading online. A lot of people are saying that they feel like that Amazon HD music is as good as anything out there. And so I don't think that I was giving up any kind of quality. Plus the Amazon thing is pretty mainstream. Feels like the vast majority of people have some Amazon Prime subscription for buying stuff off Amazon. And so it's just another click. It's $10 a month or something like that. And you get their streaming service. So it's definitely a budget way to get into this that's not a heavy lift. So Bluesound Node. This is the new anniversary edition with silver box. And it's got the newest Sabre chip in it. And we'll get into that in a little bit. Finally, we have the Denafrips Aries 2, which has also been out for a while. A viewer sent me this. That's what kind of prompted me to dive into this whole thing. And I wanted to use these things on as level a playing field as I could. And that's why I used Amazon Music. I was originally going to use the optical out or the coax out on my CD player, but if I'm going to listen to a CD, that Yamaha CD deck I've got sounds very decent to me, so that's not something that I would probably use these for, that I would use them in a streaming environment. And so that's kind of what we stuck with. For these two and this one, I stream the music off my laptop, and then we also streamed them out of the USB out of the Bluesound into these two. This one was not happy doing that. So anyway, let's start on the review, and we'll start at the bottom. Topping E30, it's fine for background music, and it's absolutely better than any of the like Bluetooth implementations, like the little Belden Bluetooth box a friend of mine has. This sounds way better than anything like that. Again, I've been driving it off my laptop, or I drive it off my desktop mainly. Just have a USB cable running over there, and I stream some, either YouTube audio or use it to preview music that I'm going to buy on vinyl on my downstairs system to see if I even like the music before I go buy it. And just use it for general kind of background music playing, and it works fine. But when I started comparing it to these other boxes, it's definitely lacking. And it's got these different filters, and honestly, there's so little difference in those filters. It's like, is there something going on there? Maybe I hear something. I mean, it's very, 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 very subtle. And there's nothing like, oh, that sounds way better, or that sounds way worse. The filters are super subtle. And so they're not going to fix anything, in my opinion. So at the bottom of the pile, we got the Topping E30. Again, it sounds way better than pulling audio out of like a computer sound card. but compared to these newer products, it really just doesn't hold a candle to them. So I guess I'm going to go next to this little Dragonfly Red. And this little thing shocked me how good it sounds. I, again, just hooked it up with a USB cable to my laptop, and then even hooked it up with a USB cable with a USB-C adapter to my phone, and was streaming the Amazon HD content through this. And guys, this thing sounds really good. I mean, if you're looking to get into streaming audio on a budget and you just want to try it out, this is what I would get. And just hook it up to a tablet or hook it up to your phone even with a USB cable, and hook the RCAs up to your amp and listen to it. And it really does sound good. This is one of the, I think it's ESS makes these chips, the Sabre. This is one tier down from what's in here, but it's got a really nice sound to it. And again, this thing's like 150 bucks, and it's such a small little footprint, and there's no power cords or anything. It runs off the USB power, and I haven't really sat down and dug into the headphone thing yet. That's going to be a future thing. I've never been a headphone listener, but I've heard these sound really good with headphones. And so, yeah, again, you're just starting out in streaming. You want to like get a trial thing of Amazon Music or one of the other streaming services, and you want to try some digital streaming into your system. If you've been an analog guy like me, you're kind of like, well, you know, is this even worth doing? Give one of these a try. So next we have the Bluesound Node. This thing's been out for a long time. Got a very mature app, like I alluded to earlier. I think there's some issues with the API released by Amazon and how far into that they can integrate their app, so it's not, you know, ideal, but it's definitely navigatable. And I didn't have a big problem with it. Some people do. You need to do some research on that. Supposedly Tidal has better integration, but to get the really high quality Tidal files, it was like 20 bucks a month. And I've already got the Amazon Premium Sound that I've been subscribed to for a couple of years now, and honestly I just wasn't interested in navigating that whole thing. So anyway, the app does work well. You control it with your phone wirelessly, and again, you're not Bluetoothing it, but you do have to be careful that the box doesn't try to Bluetooth. I had some issues with setting it all up at one point where it just didn't sound very good, and then I realized that it was just simply Bluetoothing off my phone instead of using the wireless connection. So went into the settings, I turned off the Bluetooth because I don't want it doing that. So I want to force it to use the wireless connection. And then another heads up, if you're using Amazon Music, if you've got the single user version of it, you can't have the app or the website open on another device because it only allows one at a time. And if you're attempting to use the second device, it doesn't warn you, it just plays the standard def MP3s, which absolutely, to me, sound like garbage. And so make sure that if you're streaming, if you look at the app that shows that it's HD or Ultra HD and not standard def. And like I said, I had to jump through some hoops. I think another phone was using it. I've got a couple of cell phones, one for my city phone and the other one for my personal. And somehow the app was registered or was set that it was running on the other phone when it wasn't, and I had to reboot the phones. And anyway, just a warning on that for you newbies like me. Make sure that it's actually streaming the HD and then make sure that it's not operating in Bluetooth mode, just running like a Bluetooth speaker off of your phone to your stereo. You want it using either the Wi-Fi or the Ethernet. I mean, to me, one of the good things about this is that it will work off Wi-Fi, so I don't have to run Ethernet cables all over my house. Supposedly, the Ethernet sounds better. Maybe it does. I didn't test that because, again, I was trying to use this like I think a lot of people are going to use it, and that is for the convenience and being able to, put this thing in their listing room that may or may not have Ethernet in it. And so, to me, this anniversary edition sounds really good. It sounds way better than the Topping E30, and it sounds really close. These two are really close to me. This might have a little bit of an edge, and it definitely has the edge on convenience, but it's also $800 versus $150. And so there's that. These are both using those ESS Sabre chips. This one is just a lower tier version. I'll put up here, this one's using this version, and then this is using this version. So Anniversary Edition is more expensive than the OG or the older version. It's also supposedly got a better headphone amp in it. I haven't listened to the headphone jack, but that'll be something we'll be doing in the future. But I got it because I didn't want to have to run an external DAC off of this box. And from the friends of mine that use these that I talked to, they said with the earlier Bluesound Node, you really need an external DAC because DACs have kind of moved on past what the earlier one was. Now, I did listen to a OG Bluesound Node with my friend's system that I set up for him for streaming, and I just wasn't real impressed. Now, we were comparing it to vinyl, but it was like markedly worse sounding than the vinyl setup. Where with this box, it's starting to get close. Still a little bit behind, but this is definitely a big jump in sonic quality between the OG Bluesound Node and this X version with the newest Sabre chip in it. So, if you're going to go out and buy one of these and want to just use it without having to go spend more money on an external DAC, make sure you buy one of these anniversary editions. And I'm sure at some point that's just going to be the normal version. But they're selling off the other ones now on sale for like under $500. And I'll put links below to all this stuff. Now, I do want to note that I tried plugging this into the USB out on this to see like what the difference in these two Sabre chips sound like streaming off this box. This was not happy plugged into this. It was skipping and doing weird stuff, and it was totally unlistenable. So don't think that you can buy like the OG one of these and then plug this $150 little DAC into the back of it and get the same sound as this. Unfortunately, doesn't seem to work. And I tried some different settings in there. There was some kind of a time sync thing that was in the menu for this box that said some DACs aren't happy. You can turn that off, and I tried that. Didn't fix it. So this does not work plugged into this streamer. May not work plugged into other streamer boxes. I don't know. I just know it doesn't work plugged into this one. So be aware of that. This is like laptop or phone use only. Okay, finally, Ninja Frips Aries 2. This is like a highly rated, people rave about this box. This is what got me started in doing this review, is somebody mailed me one of these to trial, and I got to ship it back later this afternoon. That's kind of why I'm doing this video. But anyway, so tried this hooked up to my CD deck, and there was a little improvement. It wasn't earth-shattering, but it was there. And this sounds hugely better than this. which it should for the cost of it. And not sure about, they call these RTRs or something. I'll put it up here what these are, but this is a different kind of DAC, a ladder DAC or something like that they call them. I haven't dug into the architecture and the electronics. I'm not a solid state kind of person anyway, so really not interested in like diving into that and clogging my brain up with a bunch of solid state electronics. I try to stick with this stuff. So anyway, definitely better than this. But then when we start listening to these newer chip DACs, it's starting to get pretty level playing field. Honestly, using this off of the stream of this, off the USB out, it's not much different. This might sound a touch more organic, and possibly if this was going to be like my only source of listening to music, that yeah, this does sound a little bit more organic and a little bit more listenable maybe, but this doesn't sound bad at all. And this is not fatiguing. This does not sound like disruptive or whatever you want to say about possibly like this might be if you're going to use it for your main music source. So when this came out, and you had like the Bluesound Node, the OG one with the older chip, I can see that this would have been a nice improvement and worth the investment. But now that they've got this anniversary X version or whatever they call it out, I don't think there's really this huge jump in performance to using a DAC like this plugged into this. And obviously, the sky's the limit on what you can pay for DACs. And I'm not into that level of the hobby. I mean, this is kind of pushing what I'm interested in paying. Like these ISO Tango transformers, spending $1,000 on those was like, wow, I don't know if I want to go there. But kind of did it for the channel to let you guys know what I think of these transformers. So, you know, this is kind of the threshold of what I would want to spend on audio gear. And we do kind of do more kind of budget-friendly audio gear on this channel. And so this is really pushing the envelope about what I would spend on an external DAC. And I guess kind of the point of this video is I feel like for the listening that I'm going to do from a streaming service, that the chip DAC in this new Xbox Bluesound Node anniversary and even this little Dragonfly Red gets me where I want to be. And this to me is kind of overkill, or yeah, that sort of thing. I hope that makes sense. And I did find that the difference in the streams and how they're streamed, whether it's Bluetooth or Wi-Fi or that sort of a thing, makes way more difference than any of this stuff. So you definitely, you know, if you're listening to MP3s, none of this matters, because that's the lowest common denominator. It's going to sound like crap no matter what you play it on. But if you're using like the HD, which is CD quality, or the UHD, which I think is 192, that's where you can hear the difference in this stuff. And I feel like this amp is revealing enough to hear the difference. I mean, I can definitely hear the difference in phono cartridges and even tubes rolled in my phono stage. So I know this is a revealing enough amp and speakers and stuff to hear the difference in these things. So anyway, going to try to wrap this up here. I hope this was educational to you folks that maybe are new to streaming. Again, if you've been streaming forever or you've gone deep down that rabbit hole, you're probably not going to agree with what I'm saying here, and that's fine. I'm trying to do this more as kind of a beginner-friendly, hey, if you want to get into streaming, the TLDR version, get one of these to try it out. This little Dragonfly Red is a really good sounding little chip DAC. And especially if you're a headphone user, I'm sure this is the bomb. If you're looking for something to hook up into your room and be able to stream, controlling it with your phone, and be able to just lay on the couch with pull your phone out and go, yeah, put this playlist or whatever. This little box is awesome. Make sure you get the anniversary edition, unless you're planning on using some external DAC that you already have and like. This, to me, I'm just not sure there's much of a place for it, given how good these chip DACs have got. Possibly if this is your only source, the small improvement in, I guess, the analogness of the sound might be worth it, but this is a lot of money to spend, and I would say use this money to go buy a turntable. So anyway, I think I'm going to wrap this video up here. Hope you're enjoying this content. If you are, please subscribe to the channel. Please like the video. Thanks to all you folks that support me via Patreon or donations, or, folks that send me gear. This guy sent me this 3 months ago, and I'm sorry it took me this long to get to it, but sometimes I get busy doing other stuff, building amps, and just, it's hard to sit down and just make content like this. So here we go. So anyway, till the next video, have a nice day.